Hi, my name is Amy Budd. I am a program manager with San Diego Youth Services Here Now program, which is our school-based suicide prevention and early intervention program. I've been asked by our agency to do a quick talk and kind of highlight Suicide Prevention Month, so we're going to go ahead and get started. The first question is how does San Diego Youth Services help prevent suicide? This is something that's super passionate for me. I've been working in this field for a while now, and specifically suicide prevention for the past 6 years. In our program, as the San Diego Youth Services Here Now program, which is our county funded through the Behavioral Health Services Act, Prop 63, we're able to provide school-based suicide prevention and post-vention services to middle schools and high schools in San Diego County. The next question is, why is Suicide Awareness Month so important? Did you know that today is World Suicide Prevention Day? The whole month is dedicated to suicide prevention awareness, and today specifically is World Suicide Prevention Day. And what we're able to do on this day, and the reality is for me, every day is Suicide Prevention Day, but we're able to highlight the realities of suicide in our country, in our state, and in our county. And then we're also able to talk about the hope there is for being able to process and work through depression and anxiety and other mental health that could be causing us to feel like there's no way out or there's no hope. So there is hope. We don't have to stay here, so we can talk about ways to find support and also to find resources in our community. This is a really good question. The question is, what are the warning signs for someone who is thinking about suicide? And the reality is we know that a lot of our friends and family, even ourselves, can be feeling a lot of different emotions right now. It is a high stress time, but what we're talking about is a super difference in our mental health. So a good way to look at it is if we're thinking someone might be thinking about suicide and or their depression or anxiety has increased, we're looking at their behavior, their mood, and their speech and what they're talking about. So if someone we know normally doesn't deal with consistent depression, or they are dealing with it and it's gotten significantly worse, we want to watch for the 2-week mark to see if there's been any change. We want to talk with them, and we want to be aware of what they're talking about. Is there negative self-talk and what they're saying to others really helpless and hopeless? Is their mood consistently depressed or anxious for those 2 weeks with no difference? And what are their behaviors? Are they sleeping really little or a lot, and those kind of extreme changes from what's normal for them? Because we know everyone's different, and so my normal is different from a friend's normal, from a student's normal. So we want to be aware of what's normal versus not normal, and then be aware of those behaviors, those moods, and what their talk is, what their speech is. So now what do we do? The next question is, how can we help people prevent suicide? And the bigger question is also, how can we just support one another with our mental health? Because that can go a long way. And so the first thing is, I like to share 2 stats. And one is that 90% of those who are thinking about suicide will display warning signs, and 70% will tell someone about how they're feeling. So it's our job as friends and family, as working in this field, to ask the hard questions. And one of the ways we can lead into that is to talk about those warning signs that we've noticed. So let's say that we've noticed a friend or a family member has been increasingly depressed for the past 2 weeks, extreme changes in their mood and behavior. Their self-talk is very negative. Everything that they're saying to me is very helpless and hopeless. They don't want to be here anymore. Those kinds of phrases. We want to acknowledge those with them and talk with them about what we're noticing. And then we do want to ask what can be a really hard question, but really necessary, and that is, are you thinking about suicide? A lot of times, and there is a myth that people, if you talk about suicide, you'll make it happen. And we know that that's not accurate. When we talk about suicide, it actually gives people permission to then share how they're doing. And we care enough to ask the tough questions. And that just shows that we're willing to ask. It doesn't mean we have all the answers, but we're willing to ask the tough questions and then get them the support that they need. And the last question is just talking about what are the resources. So there are a lot of resources in San Diego County for counseling and support. I do want to share 3 websites where you can access more information. One of them is our San Diego Youth Services website. So it's sdyouthservices.org. That's one good website to visit. The next one is suicidepreventionlifeline.org, and that is a website you can for additional resources nationwide. And then another website we highly recommend you visit is the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, afsp.org. And they also have a lot of good resources of how to support someone. Every day should be Suicide Prevention Day, but we want to at least acknowledge today that we're going to take a moment to acknowledge our own mental health, the mental health of those around us, and ask tough questions when needed. And knowing that you're not alone, there's a lot of support out there.